Hey everyone, this is Mike Kramer of Mott Capital. Today is January 22nd. It's Monday evening around 6:30 New York time. So today we're going to take a look at the euro, the pound, gold, and oil and see what's going on with some of these currencies versus the dollar and these two commodities. So the first we're going to start off with is the euro, because the euro continues to show downward price momentum with this RSI that continues to trend lower. And so we're going to want to watch to see the euro right now. There's a couple of things that I think bear watching. The first thing, again, is that this 10-day exponential moving average continues to act as a barrier between support and resistance. And in this case, it is acting as resistance. You can see we came right back up to it today, tested it, and failed to go through it. We also have this big uptrend that comes off of the October 2023 lows, where we've come back, where we fell below it and we've been hovering around it. And now, at least, again, we're showed some signs today of trying to get back above it, failed, and now we're moving further away from it, which means that the euro is going to either have to start rising pretty quickly, or you're going to start seeing, I think, the euro breaking lower. The other thing here is that we have this clear downtrend now in place as well, which is also suggesting that maybe the euro begins to move lower here. Clearly, a break above 109 potentially sends the euro back to this area around 109 and a half. Likewise, if we just continue to drift and we break this 108 and a half region, we're talking about a drop back to this 107 area likely coming. When we look at the pound, it's a similar sort of setup here with this 10-day exponential moving average continuing to be a little bit of actually a magnet, it looks like, where we're not really definitively breaking one way or the other. We've just been kind of hovering in this flattish to sideways movement while we have been clearly seeing downward momentum in the RSI. We can even draw out at this point potentially, this little downtrend forming. And this could tell us two things, right? The first thing being is that the exponential moving average is clearly right now a little bit of a magnet or resistance, with the next major level of resistance up here around 127 and a half. If we get here and we fail, then it becomes pretty clear that this is probably some sort of downtrend that's forming. Likewise, if we were to, break back below and start heading towards 126.30, that also obviously tells us that there's downward momentum forming. So right now, I think you're just kind of waiting to see which way the pound breaks, to see if we can get some sort of signal in terms of which direction it's likely to continue to move going forward. The one thing I would note, obviously, is that you do have this downward momentum while you have this sideways consolidation, and you can almost view this as a bearish divergence which is forming, and you are making lower highs despite holding the previous lows. So again, you do have some downward pressure on this at this point. When we look at oil has a very similar look to what it had actually back in this period of time. The reason why I'm saying that is because when you look here, you can see that we came down to this the 69.70 region, kind of tested it a few times. All the while, momentum in the RSI was turning higher, and it led to that big breakout over the summer, which took oil all the way up to 95. Now, you don't exactly have the same exact setup here, but it's similar in that we're consolidating sideways here while the RSI is clearly picking up and showing signs of accelerating to the upside. And really all oil has to do at this point is break above 76, and it's likely that you could see this really start running and moving towards 81. Now, the difference between here, I think, and here is that in this period of time, we had momentum that was trending lower, and so I think that's one reason why oil failed to move back up when it came to this trend line. We can also see that it tested this trend line, came right down to it, and bounced off of it. This also potentially tells us that oil is turning higher, and there is a little bit of an uptrend which has formed in oil over the last couple of weeks. So I would be looking for oil to see if it can get above this 76 area. If it gets above 76, it has room to probably move up towards 82 as this momentum really starts to build. Likewise, if you were to break this trend line, that would be a big negative, and a break of 72 likely sets up a retest of this 68.5 region, but I think it would be much more negative than even that, because what that would tell us is that momentum actually isn't positive and it's actually shifted negative. So this area in here at 76 is a big important area, and I think this area in here around 70 to 71 is an important area. And then finally, when we move on to gold, gold obviously just recently made new all-time highs not that long ago. Gold has been consolidating around these prior highs. We obviously see that 3 times we touched this 2050 area. We'll call it, this was a 5th time, 4th time, and 5th time. So far, this has been a rejection area, and gold really hasn't been able to break out of that region yet. The one thing that gold has going for it is that you can begin to argue that at least there's at least an upward bias to it. And the one negative, obviously, we still have in it is that we still have this negative divergence on the RSI. Again, like many other indicators, this 10-day exponential moving average has been a very tough area. It's serving right now as resistance. So we really need to see gold get above this 10-day around 2030 and hold it and actually start advancing above it. As long as this 10-day exponential moving average is acting as resistance, it's going to keep pushing gold lower. You break the uptrend at this 2017 area, 2015 area, and I think you're looking at a move back down to 1980. If you can get above the 10-day exponential moving average and you lose that downward pressure, and you can actually get the RSI to pop higher above this downtrend, then you have a chance to get above this, back up to this 2070 region. And then, of course, you just don't know, because right now that's obviously been the big area of resistance really for a few years now, going back to July of 2020. So that's sort of where we are right now. I hope you found this video helpful, and we'll talk to you again later this week.